If you're trying to lose fat, gain muscle, do a better job at work, or just be a nicer person in general, then you need to understand that a quality night of sleep with enough hours and enough depth of sleep is vital for you to ever hope to attain any of these goals. Even one night of bad sleep is going to sap your energy the next day, raise your cortisol, turn off fat burning, make your muscles weaker, and make your mind slower. I'm Dr. Ken Berry, a family physician with 20 years of clinical experience, and this video is going to help you understand insomnia and 15 steps to get better sleep. And at the end of this video, I'm going to talk to you about some research-backed supplements that may very well help you sleep better. And I'll have links to those. Now, before you try any supplements for sleep, I want you to absolutely make sure you're doing all 15 steps that I talk about in this video, because they're all backed up by research that's at least somewhat meaningful. They're backed up by common sense, and they're also based on the paleoanthropological way that we've lived on this planet for the last 250,000 years. There are thousands of videos and blog posts out there about tips and hacks and tricks to get better sleep, but I've tried to only stick with the ones that meet my 3 criteria. They have to have some research, they have to be common sense, and they have to kind of replicate how we slept thousands and thousands of years ago. All of the steps I talk about in this video are easy to implement in your life. They are cheap, if not free, then they're relatively inexpensive, and they actually work. I've had enough research evidence or anecdotal evidence from people who've reached out to me to know that there's at least a good chance that these tips are going to work for you. So here are the 15 steps that are going to help you get better sleep on a nightly basis and help you battle insomnia. Number 1 is going to actually start first thing in your morning. When you wake up, if you can find a way in your schedule to get 30 minutes of sunlight and exercise, that's going to set your internal clock, your circadian rhythm, so that your body knows, oh, that's when I'm supposed to wake up. And that's going to immediately suppress your melatonin and let your body get off to the proper start. Now, this can include going for a walk in the sun for 30 minutes. This can include working out for 30 minutes in the sun. If you're stuck in an apartment, you can do jumping jacks on the balcony. Just that morning sunlight has a magical quality of waking you up and setting your clock. As you go through your morning ritual, it's fine to have that cup of coffee. It's fine to fast further into the day or break your fast early in the morning. But you want to stop any sources of caffeine at least 6, if not 8 hours before bedtime. Caffeine actually has quite a long half-life. And even though it may seem to you that you've drifted off to sleep at a decent hour, you will not go into the depths of stage 3 and stage 4 sleep if you still have too much caffeine on board. Number 3 is you need to stop alcohol at least 4 hours before bedtime. Alcohol absolutely interferes with your ability to get into the deeper stages of restful sleep. Many people use alcohol as a sleeping pill. And it does seem to make you go to sleep faster and easier, but it really messes with your sleep architecture, and you should avoid it at least 4 hours before bedtime. Number 4 is you need to have your bedroom temperature set somewhere between 60 and 69 degrees Fahrenheit. And this is backed up by quite a bit of research in the literature, and I put all the links down below. Sleeping in a hot, dry bedroom is not conducive to restful sleep. Number 5, stop eating at least 2 hours before bedtime. And this has not only to do with your insulin level, your cortisol levels, but also many people will have silent reflux during the night. And it may not be severe enough to wake you completely back awake, but if it brings you out of stage 3 or stage 4 sleep back to stage 2 sleep, even though you don't remember that the next morning, it still interfered with your sleep. Number 6 is stop all liquids at least 2 hours before bed. This is the same reason. Silent reflux is a big destroyer of sleep, but also if you have to get up in the middle of the night 1 or 2 or 3 times to go to the restroom, you just had to come all the way back up to wakefulness. Now you've got to go back down through all the stages of sleep to get back to stage 3 or stage 4, that's going to cost you hours of sleep through the night. And so stop all liquids at least 2 hours before bedtime. Number 7 is start to minimize blue light at dusk. So think back 100,000 years. When the sun went down, that was it. There was no light unless it was the stars or the moon or a campfire giving off red light. Many people use blue blocker glasses starting at dusk. I think that's a fine strategy. There are apps on your phone and your computer and perhaps even on your television. A popular one is called fLux. I'm going to put a link down to it below, but it blocks the majority of the blue light coming from your phone, your computer. Maybe they have an app for your smart TV, I'm not sure. But wearing the blue blockers starting at dusk mimics how we've lived for hundreds of thousands of years. And that's going to allow your melatonin to start to slowly increase as the evening progresses, which is a very good thing. Number 8, there's ample research to show that taking a hot bath or hot shower right before bedtime helps prepare you for bed. And in some people, surprisingly, a cold shower or a cold bath actually helps them sleep much deeper and sounder during the night. So a bath at bedtime is not a bad thing. And your bed partner, if you're one of those dirty boys out there, your bed partner may very much appreciate you taking a shower or bath right before bedtime. Number 9 is to get ready for bed in a dark room. So maybe have a small red light bulb or just use the ambient light. But if you're getting ready for bed and the bedroom light's on full blast and the bathroom light's on full blast, there's actually lots of research that shows that this really mucks up your melatonin release and can essentially turn it off. So don't get ready for bed in a brightly lit bedroom or bathroom. That's not your friend. You don't want to do that. Number 10, if you have a bed partner or you have ambient noise outside your apartment or your house, wear earplugs to bed. Again, the noise that you hear during the night may not wake you completely up. So the next morning you won't remember the 20 times that your bed partner was snoring or the neighbors next door were partying and it brought you back up to stage 2 or stage 1 sleep. You may not even have a conscious memory of that, but it really messed up your sleep during the night. So earplugs are super cheap. They're easy to use. After a night or two, you'll be completely used to them. You won't bother them at all. My sweet, loving wife, Nisha, wears these at night. She claims it's because I snore at night, but there's no actual evidence to support that, so I think that's just a hypothesis. Now, the next one, number 11, is to go to bed at a set bedtime. You need to go to bed within 30 minutes of the same time every night. Just like getting that morning sun set your circadian rhythm, going to bed within 30 minutes plus or minus of the same time every night sets your circadian rhythm. This is it. We're done. We're going to sleep. We're losing consciousness, and that helps your body regulate your cycle and also to expect when bedtime is. Number 12 is to have a bedtime ritual. Do the same things every night. This can include reading a little nonfiction. This can include meditation. This can include sex. Any of these things, but they all need to be done in that dark bedroom, in that dark bathroom, so that you don't muck up your melatonin levels. Number 14 is get some kind of white noise or pink noise in the bedroom all night long while you're sleeping. So the earplugs are going to help block ambient noise or your bed partner snoring, but also having white noise or pink noise, it's very interesting. Lots of research backs this up. And you can use a noise machine, and I've got a link to one down below. But for many people, just a $5 box fan that sits in the floor not only will help cool the bedroom, but also will just give you that white noise that your mind can kind of get lost in, and you won't hear that dog barking next door or that argument next door or other under the cover noises that may come from your partner during the night. Number 15 is a very, very good strategy. I've actually used this for years. I have a very active mind. It won't ever shut up at bedtime. I'm always thinking about what I'm going to do the next day, what video I'm going to make, where we're going. And so it's called box breathing. And I put a link to a good video explaining this. It's super simple to learn, and you can use it during the day for anxiety or stress, but it's wonderful lying in bed in a blacked out bedroom, which is number 13 that I missed. I'll talk about that in a second. But box breathing can distract your overactive mind so that you can actually slip into sleep without your conscious mind even knowing it. Now back to 13, which I missed, is to sleep in a blacked out bedroom. We're trying to mimic how we've slept for the last 250,000 years. You don't want any light in the bedroom. Definitely no TV screens, phone screens, iPad screens, none of that stuff. Even with your blue blockers, you want all that stuff out of the bedroom after the official bedtime time. Even your alarm clock, you want it to have a red light, not a blue or a green or a white light, and you want to turn your alarm clock away from you. You do not need to be looking at the alarm clock at 3:30 in the morning, worried about how long it's going to be before you get up. Turn that away from you as well. You want it to be as close to pitch black as possible. It's very, very important. So now the supplements. There are a few supplements that seem to be supported by research, and I've also had hundreds of people reach out to me anecdotally and say, hey, this really helped me. And the three are melatonin. Now, if you're under the age of 30, you probably don't need melatonin, and melatonin probably won't help you with your sleep at all. You may actually suppress your natural melatonin secretion, which is quite high before the age of 30. But if you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, or beyond, anywhere from 1 to 5 milligrams of melatonin at bedtime might actually help you go to sleep quicker and stay asleep longer. The next one is GABA. This is actually a neurotransmitter that you can take in a pill form. I've experimented with this off and on. Melatonin seems to really help me. I can't really tell much help from GABA, but it does have some research to back it up, and many people have swore by it. So I'll put a link to that down below. And then the last is magnesium. Most people in modern society are deficient or depleted in magnesium. So taking a good dose of magnesium, somewhere between 200 and 800 milligrams at bedtime, will help you sleep better, will help you not have muscle cramps, muscle twitches, neuropathy, all the things that can wake you up. Maybe not completely wake you up, but at least wake you up enough that you're not in stage 3 or stage 4 restful sleep. Now, I put links to all the research that I use for this video down in the show notes below, and I also put links to the products that I talked about. But before you buy a single product or a single supplement, I want you to make sure that you've got all 15 of these cheap and easy steps, tips, hacks, tricks. I want you to have those under your belt and be doing those routinely. Then if you want to add a noise machine or some magnesium or something else, feel free to go ahead. But don't waste your money until you've done all the natural and easy things first. Now, if you know someone who has trouble sleeping, please share this video with them. You're welcome to share it anywhere on social media that you think it will help me to help more people. And as you may have deduced from listening to a few of my videos, I have over 300 videos on this channel. I'm never going to be sponsored by big pharma or big food corporations. So please consider clicking on my Patreon link. It's right down below in the show notes. It's a super quick sign up, and you can throw $1 or $2 my way so that I have more time and more resources to make you videos just like this. This is Dr. Barry. I'll see you next time.